could not dial the number fast enough and call the person who had told me all along that I should do it. And I said, I'm going to be a realtor. And he got really excited about it. And he told me where to take the class, and I took the class. And so literally, the class is like 4 weeks. Literally, the fifth week, my cousin called me and she said, look, somebody just got carjacked, unfortunately, outside my house. I know that you just got. February 18, 2018. But a miracle from God happened. I was released early. So with that being said, people would just ask me, hey, Maya, I know someone who's in the hospital right now with cancer. Can you just go and talk to them? And it just became something that I did every day. And from there, we can survive. Started being it all basically started from just allowing people to see that the blood of Jesus still works. Mm-hmm. You know, God is still in the healing business, and that no matter how bad a situation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Coach Kellie Speaks Talk Show. I'm your girl, Coach Kellie, and as always, I start every interview with a recap of my week. And so this week was absolutely phenomenal. I attended the God's Glamorous Girls Conference in Baltimore, Maryland. There were over 5,000 women in attendance, and it was the best one yet. And so one of the things that I went through prior to the week was I had to redo my entire staff, and I had to start over from scratch. And sometimes when you have to push that reset button, it's not always easy. I was working by myself for 2 weeks, and knowing that I had this huge conference coming up, I was packing up my entire boutique and setting up this amazing booth. And I was getting flustered because I'm so used to having all hands on deck, but there was only 2 hands on deck. And so I was in the shop, and I prayed, and I said, okay, God, I knew that it was something that I needed to do. I knew that I needed to just start over, and that's what I did. And so I know that whenever you hear the voice of God concerning anything, God says that if you are obedient, I will make you an expert in whatever it is that I called you to do. And so he called me to be a boutique owner, a salon owner, a business and financial coach, as well as a wife and a mom. And so sometimes when God calls you to something, sometimes you may questioning him, like, how can you call me to do a women's conference and then maybe at that time $0 in your bank account? How is it that he may call you to write a book and you may say to yourself, well, I don't have a degree, or, I've never wrote anything. But because God knows all things, he sees all things, he'll often call you to something that will actually blow your entire mind. And so doing this show, I never studied journalism or anything like that. But when I heard it, got the invitation, I said no 3 times because I kept filtering it through my intellect. I was filtering it through my past experiences, and there was a talk show was nowhere in there. It wasn't my vision board. I didn't have it on my vision board, but I remember praying about it and saying, okay, well, I know business, I know personal development, and I do know personal finances. Just maybe 6 months of accepting this amazing offer to do this talk show, I had just paid off $55,000 worth of debt, and that meant something to me. And I remember putting that on a Facebook post, and all of a sudden my inbox was full. People were signing up for coaching. How did I do it? I launched a full seminar, and people began to ask me, well, Coach Kellie, can you teach us how? And so after that, I got this amazing opportunity, and it has been a journey. I like to always begin with transparency, because I believe that transparency is your first step to transition. One thing that I love about Jesus is that he could not be hidden in his greatest miracle. His greatest miracle was down for us. His greatest miracle was when he went to the cross. He was bloody. He was naked. He could not cover. And when they hung him fully exposed. And so one of the things about me is that if you know me, I'm transparent about my life. I like to just talk about it, because sometimes even the coaches, the visionaries, they need to be coached as well. And I often see on our social media channels, people post the best. They post you in your makeup, and they post their red bottoms, their Chanel bags. But it's very often that when trials and tribulations happen, you go missing. And so one thing for me, I do Coach Kellie Confessions, and I talk about when I lived in a hotel right on Allentown Road, and just going to various stations. I'll never forget going on a nationally syndicated show on TV One, and I remember I was living in a hotel. I was about 19 years old, and I had just washed my clothes in the sink and blow dried it with a hair dryer, and I was on my way to at the time, it was 1340, and I never forget going into the studio. And at that time, I was on a Golden Scissors Award, and I was one of the youngest stylists in on this national platform. And I remember the host at the time, he was so excited. My work was all over the place. I had did a reality show, but no one knew behind the scenes. I was living in a hotel. No one knew that the enemy was fighting me every single day. Every single day I went there. I was embarrassed to tell people where I lived, because I lived in a hotel. But I remember God whispering in my ear saying that, Kellie, this is before Coach Kellie. This is Kellie, that this situation is temporary. So those of you that are watching, I want you guys to be encouraged no matter where you are, no matter what you're facing on today. Know that because you're watching this, I don't believe in any accidents. I believe that everything is intentional. I believe that everything you go through is there to shake you to another place. During the conference, Cheryl Brady talked about this transition, it is rebirthing of eagles. And she talked about the different processes that you go through. The seasons where you're in the incubating state, right? Where you're in the hatching state. And then you have to go out in the deep, and you have to go out and jump. And anyone that knows me knows that I am that person. Once I get something, I will jump and grow my wings along the way. And one of the great analogies that she used about the eagle is when the eagle's mom believes that the eagle is fully ready, it's pushed out to fly. No, it's not taught to fly. It's pushed out to fly. And so it resonated on the inside of me, because I believe that this is a season for me to be pushed out, launched out into a new place, unfamiliarity, outside of my comfort zone. I'm living it. I'm walking it every single day, learning the process of interview, just learning everything. Everything that I'm learning is brand new to me. But as I said early on, is that whatever it is that you're called to do, God will cause you to be an expert. And so we have another amazing woman who is the editor-in-chief of You Style magazine, Bridget Davis. I like to call people doctors. I like to call people, I always say doctor. I almost say Dr. Bridget, because I do believe that God always gives you an acceleration every single day. So I like to call people into their destiny. So we're going to have Dr. Bridget Davis soon, right after this commercial. We'll be right back.
February 18, 2018. But a miracle from God happened. I was released early. So with that being said, people would just ask me, hey, Maya, I know someone who's in the hospital right now with cancer. Can you just go and talk to them? And it just became something I did every day. And from there, we can survive We Can Survive started. It all basically started from just allowing people to see that the blood of Jesus still works. You know, God is still in the healing business, and that no matter how bad a situation.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We have the extraordinary editor-in-chief of U Style Magazine, and she is also on. We share networks on
we're
Listen
sisters.
Vision Live. We are studio sisters,
That's
and
right.
your show is now on Sundays at
Yes,
8 p.m.
Sundays at 8. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
welcome to the Coach Kellie Speak Show.
Thank you for having me. I'm sitting here in awe, like, cause I'm always watching your show, and I remember when you first started, and I was like, oh my gosh, she has a great show. So I'm like, okay, now I gotta step my game up a little bit. So I have to say, I am honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank
and
you.
so, what made you start the Phenomenal magazine?
Well, I have to tell you, I'm an avid reader, put it that way. I write a little. I don't have any journalism experience, obviously. I just know I like to write. So back in 2000, I started a magazine, which was a print magazine called Capital City Magazine. That kind of went under. Too much money for one. My printing cost a lot. So nevertheless, that defunct. So what happened was a few years later, my husband was like, well, why don't you start your magazine again? Well, hence I said, well, you know what, that sounds good, but I don't really have the money to print. So I started to do a little research, and then I found out that a lot of magazines that were once print have gone digital. So I said, that's an idea. So U Style Magazine was born. I went and I found a web designer, and he designed my whole site for me. I got a pen and a pad, and I went to work. I went to work.
I think that's phenomenal because one of the things is that sometimes when things are shut out, you can almost feel like I missed something.
Right.
But in that door closing, there's a brand new door open up for you.
Yes.
And so I think that's so amazing.
Well,
so,
thank you.
What led you up to this point? What made you start your radio show?
Well, I can tell you, the radio show started because I was doing a lot of the writing myself. So I was doing a lot of the interviews. I did a lot, I was doing a lot of running around, meeting with people, interviewing with people, and it strained me. It began to drain me, honestly, mentally and physically. So I started thinking, well, what can I do to just kind of get my energy back, but still keep moving forward? So I said, you know what? Why don't I start? I was working on, first of all, I was working on a radio show, also here, the For Networking Chicks. So we started that show. So I was working on that show. In the process, I was still doing the online magazine. So it just an idea had just came to my head, like, well, why don't you, instead of doing your online magazine, why don't you take that magazine and take it to a radio station?
Wow.
And why don't you start doing your interviews on the radio? Then that way, that relieves a lot of stress. It relieves a lot of mentally, the running around and the this and that, and just have them come to you and just do your interview on the radio station. So that's what I did.
I just think that is very innovative. I remember watching, your first show, and just I've been following you for a while, and a lot of times you don't know who's watching.
Let me tell you something, and I just got chills just now to even hear you say that, because at the same time I was watching yours. So look at how God works.
Yeah, because you don't know, like when you get a call or when you get an invitation, oftentimes, and I don't know why we do this, and you could just speak on it as well. Why is it that when you find yourself with even an opportunity, why do you think we question ourselves?
I know with me, fear. Fear. I still am very shy. I am still, like, this whole thing still makes me nervous. It does. It still makes me nervous. So I know with me, I can doubt myself. Sometimes you have a tendency to question your judgment. Like, gosh, is this for me? Or maybe I'm overstepping my boundaries. Maybe maybe this is not where I'm supposed to be. And what if I get out there and I fail and everybody like, oh, I knew it. So that, I know with me is just self-doubt. I don't know if this is really what I'm supposed to be doing, but it feels good.
Yeah. And then when you see the impact that's made, and you get those inbox messages, and you, I mean, I had a lady with tears in her eyes, just come to me and say how it blessed her.
Right.
And I didn't even know. Like, she was saying, she was just on Facebook and someone shared my post. She didn't know it was me.
Right.
And she was just like, oh, well, who is this person? And she said it wasn't until the end that she realized that she knew me all along.
Right.
And she said that just the guests, and it made connections, and it spoke directly to her. And I think that's the part that you overcome the fear by the testimonies.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Because I tell you, even with my show and yours too, because I've watched your show also, you know, when it's kind of like a communion. You know, because you have people that come on. I know I've had some very, very phenomenal women that have come on to my show. And I have just been amazed by their stories. You know, they helped me to continue going. They gave me encouragement and continued encouragement to keep doing what I'm doing. So while they may feel like I'm giving them an opportunity to, you know, express and to tell everybody about their brand and what they're doing, they're actually blessing me at the same time internally, you know. So I just think it's just a win-win situation, and I love it. Yeah, I love it.
And so tell us about who you are outside of You Style.
Well, I'm a mom. You know, most importantly, I'm a mom. I'm a wife. And I'm really, you know, I guess just a person I'm still growing. You know, I just celebrated my 47th birthday on Saturday. And so it is amazing that it took 47 years for me to get to a point where I feel comfortable with myself. You know, so I guess that's pretty much the gist of me, you know, just trying to finally figure me out, you know, without being mom, without being a wife, without being a daughter, but just finally take the time to just figure me out.
Yeah. My birthday's July too.
Oh, good. So see, yes, that's right. I love my July birthday.
And so that's awesome that you said that, just that rediscovery of who you are.
Yeah.
You know, because God knows who we are.
That's right.
You know,
exactly.
and that's when, you know, a lot of times people ask me all the time, well, how did you get to that place?
Right.
I said, well, it's been a constant pushing and stirring.
Exactly.
Because sometimes just with starting my boutique, you know, a lot of people don't know it was a story of survival. You know, I remember my car breaking down on Branch Avenue in 2007, and I had an issue. I needed a car.
Right.
And so, you know, my credit wasn't the best because I had just had a baby. And when you're on bed rest and things like that, and being an entrepreneur, when you don't work, you don't make any money.
Right. Exactly.
And so I told my husband, I said, we need a car. Like, we need another car. We were sharing that car.
Right. Like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we need one.
I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I just never forget, you know, I went home and I was sitting right in front of my closet. And I was like, Lord, what am I going to do? And he says, well, you got a lot of clothes to sell.
Wow,
and
look
so
at that.
I sold the clothes in my closet, my designer bags, shoes, at the salon I was working.
Oh, wow.
And so I did like a consignment
Exactly.
at my booth.
Exactly.
And I took that money and I used it as a down payment to get a car. And so then after that, I was like, Lord, what am I going to sell? I sold everything.
Right.
And God gave me this amazing idea to start this consignment business, which ended up 10 years later to 4 boutiques.
Isn't that so? You know what? And that's the thing. Like, isn't it awesome how God can turn your tragedies into your dreams, or you know, so to speak?
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing? I love it. I mean, you know, because at times when you think that things can't get any worse, it's actually a process of Him opening other doors for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I know, you know, in my time, I've witnessed that a lot. And it's just like, wow, so this is what you was trying to tell me all this time.
And sometimes you ask yourself, well, why didn't I just hear it?
Right. I know, like, you had to take me through all of this just to get me. Why couldn't you just tell me?
Because
I agree.
Sometimes I think a lot of times I think our trials are the things that we're holding on to. And I think that could be the biggest reason, you know, just like for myself, knowing that, and my mom says it, she's my momager, I call her. She's here now. She's my director. You know, she's always there. And one of the things she says is, when things aren't going well and I'm kind of like trying to figure it out,
Right.
she stopped me and she said a amazing word. She says, "Don't operate out of scarcity."
Oh, I like that.
And it was so good
Yeah.
because a lot of times as business owners, or not just business owners, but something will happen to us and it the stress shifts us to a place of scarcity where it's
Yes.
like, I need someone, I need this in
I
a
agree.
relationship. You know, you get lonely and then you enter into scarcity and you just accept the first thing that'll come your
I agree.
way.
You're right. You're right.
And so
You're right.
it's like, okay, you're working by yourself right now, it's okay. Like, God is going to provide.
Exactly.
And I remember posting just on Sunday right before the conference, hey, Facebook friends, you know, if you're going to the conference, I need help.
Right.
You know, and
right.
that's to humble yourself and say, you know what, I need help. I can't do it all myself, all alone.
Exactly.
And within an hour, it wasn't just one.
Right.
It wasn't just two. It was 4 people.
Exactly.
And so as the week went on, there were ladies showing up in my inbox. Hey, I'm registered. I can volunteer 2 hours of my time. So the whole entire conference, it was covered, and I didn't have to
Exactly.
operate in a place of scarcity, because little do you know, there's people that's waiting to help you.
Right, right. And you know what? And I know I have a problem with that because, you know, you have a tendency to think, oh, they don't have time, you know, or even in my situation, like, it's like, oh, I don't want to bother anybody. You know, it's not their issue or it's not their problem. I don't want to bother them. Let me try to figure it out. Next thing you know, I done got down, I done got depressed, I done shut down, you know, and nothing gets done. So I'm learning that, you know, I'm learning to ask for help. You know, when I need help, ask for help. You never know who's waiting to help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back. We're going to do a quick commercial, and we'll be right back. Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Coach Kellie of the Coach Kellie Speaks Talk Show. Last week, our special guest was Maya Wright from We Can Survive.
Today, I'm dealing with death and disappointment of some sort. Nobody's excited. Find out they have been diagnosed with cancer or their cancer comes back. So I've had to learn how to turn my phone off. I no longer accept calls in the middle of the night. I used to have my phone on 24 hours a day, get out the bed.
Wow, wasn't that amazing? If you missed it, you can catch the replay on YouTube at Coach Kellie Speaks. Hello, and welcome back to the Coach Kellie Speaks Show. I am here with the U-Style Editor-in-Chief, Bridget Davis. I'm so excited.
Me too. Look, me too.
I'm just so excited. And just going back to the whole thing with eagles, you know, they go through this rebirthing process. And, you know, there's a place where, and when we usually, I mean, that's our national bird of America.
Right.
And so an eagle, their wingspan, it's just the awe of just researching the eagle and
Exactly.
just seeing how they can soar above a storm cloud.
Right.
You know, their height, their wings, and I mean, they're like gangster too. Like they will kill anything in
yeah.
sight that will come to what they're birthing. And so that's one of the things that I always say. And one of my favorite scriptures is Isaiah 40, when it says God will, you know, just renew your strength and you will mount out as an eagle.
Right,
And so has there ever been a place where, or are you in a season of rebirthing now?
I am, honestly. Yeah, I am. I am definitely, you know, in a season of rebirthing. You know, a lot of personal trials, you know, I've gone through. You know, obviously it's not a secret. I'm like you. I'm very transparent, you know. So I've gone through a lot of things, marriage, you know, I'm still married, but, you know, I've gone through a lot of trials with, you know, marriage and jobs, you know, just trying to find a place where I feel comfortable. And so I did realize that I have to kind of fall back and I have to kind of see where my place is, you know, and if that means sometimes you have to shed some things, sometimes you have to shed some people. And I know that's a lot of what I had to do because a lot of it was a weight mentally on me. So because of that, I've had to shed some people a few times, just so I can.
Hard.
It is
I mean,
very
shedding
hard.
people, I think when we
It's very
say
hard.
we say it so casual.
Exactly.
But for me, I think that's the hardest part for me. I think
It is.
for me, I can start over in business once I've found a system to work. I can work that system, but when it comes down to people, for me, I think
Right.
that's the hardest one. Like
Right.
the shedding of people, and sometimes you wonder why. You wonder, well, why do I have to do that?
Exactly.
But one of the things that you have to do is that, and my pastor, he just made that declaration that this is the year of change. And when someone is declaring something over your life, you'll go, yay!
Right,
You know,
right.
you get excited, you get pumped up. But when that changing and that shifting takes place,
That's the
it
hard
can-
part.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can sit there and you can listen to it all day and it sounds perfect. But then when it's time to actually put it in action, you're sitting there like, okay, now what?
Yeah, like, how?
I know, like, how am I going to do this? I agree.
Yeah,
I
and so
agree.
it's tough. I mean, for me, I think that even the familiarity that comes in when you are going through different things. And TD Jakes was talking about how, sometimes the same people that will fence you in and you shouting,
Exactly.
and, they'll say you broke. Say, for instance, you're in a season, you're broke. And the same people that have pushed you like, go, girl, it's your
Right.
season.
Right.
We shout together. But then when your season truly manifests and theirs haven't,
Right.
a lot of times it's like, oh, God, you've changed, or oh, you're
Exactly.
acting different. And what you realize is that each new level is a new devil,
Right.
and your trials change.
Right.
At one point, your trial could have just been me breaking down on the side of the road. At that time, that was serious.
Right.
But now it's like, it
Exactly.
doesn't bother me as
Exactly.
much because I have access to so many different channels.
Exactly.
And so, yeah.
So
yeah.
I know, okay. So this is my thing. Even with just woman to woman, how do you find yourself getting through that? Because I know, it's like because I know I have a hard time with it.
I cry.
Yes, a lot.
I mean, at one point,
Yes,
no,
a
really.
lot.
And I'm honest enough to say that when I go through, and this is through counseling, I'm a firm believer of counseling. I'm a firm believer of prayer. But before, I never believed in counseling. Like, it was just like, God is it.
Right.
I would just pray it out,
Right.
and that was it. And when someone would do stuff, hurt my feelings, or say little stupid stuff, I would internalize it and be like, okay,
Yes.
whatever. But then later on, it depends. Something would trigger, and I'm
Right.
crying.
Right.
And so
Right.
I remember talking to one of my counselors, and one of the things that he says that a lot of times you feel like I'm just this strong person. And it's like, you know what? I'm strong. Nothing bothers me. I'm fine. I'm like, but you end up storing it into your subconscious. And then later on, you're in traffic and someone cuts you off and, you're ready to go.
That's
and
right.
it's not even about that moment. It was just an add-on to what someone did say
Exactly. I
earlier this
agree.
part of this
I
year
agree.
that you didn't process. So I believe that it's great to process each thing. If somebody smacks you and you say it doesn't hurt, you're lying.
Right.
If you don't want to smack them back, you're lying.
Exactly.
So now it's like I face my truth and I face it head on and I say, hey, this is how I feel, and that's how I process it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm learning. I really am. I'm learning. I'm like, just like you just said, I have a tendency to internalize a lot. Which is definitely a bad thing because it affects me in other areas.
Okay.
So I'm learning how to not internalize things so much, but still express how I feel and not hold it in. So
Yeah.
I'm learning. It's all a learn. That's what I told you. I just turned 47 Saturday, and I'm still learning myself.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. My pastor used this amazing analogy on Sunday at church, and he had a young lady come up with her baby.
Okay.
And it was the mom and the baby, and so he held the baby, and he says this baby has everything it's gonna need. It's never gonna have to go back to the warehouse and get anything new.
Right.
So this baby I guess the baby was like 13 months.
Okay.
This baby has what it needs to have a baby. Another, right?
Exactly.
This baby has what it needs to be a wife. This baby was there on earth, and the call the destiny, everything is wrapped up into this 13-month baby, this
Right,
1-year-old.
right.
And so the same thing with us. At 35, I have everything that I need to handle what's coming in my life at 50. I don't need anything new. Now I have to go back to my manual, which is the Bible.
Right,
But
right.
everything that I need is on the inside of me. The millionaire, the
Right.
national syndicated talk show host,
Right.
where we're
right.
going, it's in us.
Exactly.
And so it's
exactly.
up to us to tap into and maximize the season that we're in now,
Right.
to take it to the next level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning. See? You see how everything it all comes together. I'm learning.
But it's good. I mean, it's good to know. And so, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I'm like you. Of course, I want to continue to grow the magazine. I want to get on the national level when it comes to that. I do want to, now that I'm getting into this whole talk show thing, I love it. And I'm still learning. I'm still learning, just like I heard you mention earlier, interview process, of how to do effective interviewing, how to do effective speaking. So I'm still learning all of that. So I want to continue to grow on that. And yeah, I definitely want to go national as well, because I enjoy just being able to just sit and just talk with people.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love, like, Sundays. I can't wait for Sundays to get here, because I love just to be able to sit and communicate,
Right.
with individuals. And yeah, it's like my therapy.
It
So,
is.
yeah.
I never knew it was this fun.
I know.
Like, I was always so nervous, like, oh my God, like, how can I do this? Like,
Exactly.
I mean, I had these butterflies, and,
Exactly.
of course my mom is here with me, so she is helping me to become better and
Exactly.
stronger. And, she is at administration, and her motivational gift, she's writing a book
Awesome.
about
Okay.
your motivational gifts and
Exactly.
understanding them as well. And so just watching her flow in her motivational gift,
Exactly.
and me using her motivational gift to tap into my motivational gift, which is creating a platform of influence. Like
Exactly.
I said, even though I lived in a hotel in that season, I was still getting recognition.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it was like, wow,
Exactly.
I'm an influencer.
Exactly.
Like, even in this state that I was in at that moment, I didn't even understand it. I understand it now.
Right.
Because it was like, I'm getting invitations to do reality shows in this area, and being on TV One, and being on PBS, and the list goes on. Not to run through my entire bio, but just in that season of not even knowing who I was, God still had me on a platform.
Exactly. And that's just like you said earlier, because it's amazing how, you can sit and you never know who's watching. You never know how your story unknowingly is encouraging somebody else. I know I've come across that, plenty of times, and I'm just like, wow, but I come here on Sundays, I do what I enjoy doing, but never realizing that I am still affecting people that's watching on the outside. So I love the feeling.
Yeah, I remember one of the episodes you had with Lonnie, I believe.
Yes,
and she was talking
yes.
about her brokenness.
Yes.
And how she is,
Yes.
she's still going.
Exactly.
Not that the brokenness has stopped,
Exactly.
but that she's able to push past her brokenness.
That's what I was going to say. She's learned how to push past.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she's able to share her story and reach back into those other women who
Exactly.
are broken to
Exactly.
help them through that process.
Exactly.
And I love how you were able to even minister your own story on that
yeah.
show.
Oh, yeah.
And I just think that is, and I wanted to have that conversation
Yeah.
with women in broadcast.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people see you here.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
they don't know.
And that's the thing. And just like you said, that transparency, and I've had it plenty of times, people look at me and they think that, oh, she got it all together. No, that's Mac. That's Mac, but just trust me, I have things going on, in the background that I have to deal with. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I do need that. I do need people to minister to me constantly. Because I'm not perfect. I got some things that I'm dealing with. I'm not ashamed to talk about them. And I think it does you good to be able to talk about it. You know, I don't want people to think I'm perfect because I'm not perfect. I got some stuff I'm dealing with, some heavy stuff, you know.
But you're focused.
So, and yes, I try to be, you know, I try to be, I'm learning how to listen to God. You know, I'm learning that, you know, in the midst of when you have so much going on around you and everybody is in your ear telling you this is what you should do this, you should do that. I'm learning how to take a step back and say, God, what do you want me to do? And I'm trying to learn his voice.
Awesome. So
Yes.
how can we reach you?
I am on Facebook. Well, all of my social medias, it's ustylemagazine.com. You can always leave me a message on the magazine's website, which is ustylemag.com. I'm on all of the social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I am email address is ustylemagazinelive@gmail.com. So I'm there as far as email. YouTube, Ustyle Magazine. So everything is Ustyle Magazine.
I love that.
Yes.
Perfect branding. Keep
Yes,
it all
everything.
together.
Yes.
So
But it's easier for me to remember.
Yeah. And so why don't you think, because this is such a great question about, or a great segment about transparency, why don't you believe that so many people aren't transparent?
Because everybody wants to give the impression that they're perfect. And we all know that that's far from the truth. You know, for me, I don't have anything to hide, you know, because my trials is what has grown me. You know, my trials is what's making me into a woman that I am now. It's hard. You know, I cry a lot because a lot of things you don't want to have to deal with, you know, but you have to in order for you to grow. And I'm understanding, I'm going to cry now, but I understand that, you know, I understand that I must go through it, you know, in order to grow. I got to grow.
Yeah, and we overcome by our testimony. So
Exactly.
what obstacle did you have to face that made you into the person that you are today?
I'll tell you a very personal experience that I had to face, and that is, again, you know, within my marriage, I've had to face the act of adultery. I had to learn the importance of commitment. You know, I had to learn the importance of forgiveness. You understand what I'm saying? Because I had to learn how to forgive, you know, my husband. And it was hard. It's still hard. I'm still, you know, dealing with it. I still have relapses.
Right. Okay.
But I have to say that, you know, I pray a lot, you know, and I ask God, I know there is a lesson in this that you're trying to teach me. You know, even though this is a bad thing, and it hurt me tremendously. You know, it did. It hurt me tremendously. But I know that it's something in this that God is trying to show me. And there's something he's trying to teach me. And that is the importance of forgiveness.
Yeah, forgiveness is key. I mean,
Yeah.
even now in society, you see it across the board on reality shows.
Exactly.
And you see it now where this is a conversation, you know. And I remember just watching and loving hip hop, you know, watching T.I. and Tiny, and just watching these different women who are strong. They demonstrate strength. They demonstrate the power of fighting for their families.
Exactly.
You see it. You see the forgiveness, and to
Exactly.
me, forgiveness. And a lot of people go, "Oh, yeah, I forgive," you know. But forgiveness is not for strangers.
Exactly.
It's
That's
for
right.
people that you've held closely to.
That's
you.
right. Exactly.
You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
So
Yes.
what would you say to someone who is struggling in the area of forgiveness?
You just gotta have to kind of look past. You have to look past, you know, the act of. Put it that way. You have to look past the act of. You know, even with my husband, I know that he's a good man. You know, so I had to look past the fact that he made this mistake, but I know he's a good man. So how do I get past that? I had to keep focusing on the fact that he's a good man, you know? So that's just I think that's the most important part is just learning how to look past that act of hurt.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard. You know, don't get me wrong. I know it's hard. It's very hard. You know,
I think that is just powerful.
Right.
I just think that the story of restoration,
Exactly.
the story of healing.
Exactly.
And a lot of times
Exactly.
we are judged for doing the Bible. The Bible says
Exactly.
forgive.
Exactly.
You know, the Bible says
Exactly.
pray for
Exactly.
those who despitefully use you, like all the other
Exactly.
things. Turn the other cheek, and it always seems so cliche until you
Exactly.
have to face that thing. But we are greater than we think we are. And
You
we're
are exactly
able
right.
to, God said, I make all grace abound for you. And grace is kind of like the sugar in the tea.
That's right.
You know, the
Exactly.
sugar in the lemonade. When things are
Exactly.
sour, we turn to grace. And greatness is the sweeter. It's the greatest sweetener.
Because I'll tell you, and I know that there is some truth to that, because I find myself even going through, the trial that I went through. I always found myself praying like, God, why are you taking me through this? And I remember very vaguely him saying to me, because I want to show you how strong you are.
That's awesome.
Exactly. That you
Yeah.
can get through this.
Yes, you can.
And
Yeah.
it's just, it's every day I'm learning. Like I said,
Yeah.
I'm learning every day.
That's awesome. You'll never, never, ever do it. Job was the great example.
Right.
And then not only that, but Job's story is so powerful because he was the only person to really question God.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? He did it. He looked up in the sky and was like, why? He asked that question and he
Exactly.
questioned him. God was offended. He said who he was. But we've got a chance to see God in his, this is who I am.
Exactly.
I'm the person who created the heavens, the earth.
That's right.
Where were you when, because listen, I just was at the beach, 2 weeks ago on vacation, and I was in awe because the waves only go but so far.
Right.
And
right.
it's intentional.
Right.
Because when you're out there and you put yourself in a place of the waves and the waves are overtaking you, but if you just take a few steps, it stops.
Right. Right.
And so
right.
you just have to, a lot of times in those seasons, you just have to change your position. Just go up a little bit more.
Uh-huh.
And guess what? There's safety.
Yes. Yes.
And so my husband, he is 6'3".
Okay.
And a wave caused him to do a involuntary cockwheel.
Right.
And I had to help him get up. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? And I said, just come out a little bit further back towards the
Right,
shore.
right.
And so I pulled him to the shore and I was able to help him.
Look at
And
that.
sometimes when your spouse is in a deep place and they're, because the world will.
Yes.
The world will have its way to pull you down into the waves.
Exactly.
And sometimes
Yep.
it'll overtake you. You don't even know how deep
Exactly.
it could be.
I remember even with that, because that's a good, I remember my sister-in-law telling me, she said that, God is using you. Your husband right now isn't strong enough. So he's using you to be the strength for both of y'all. So you have to pray in the midst of what you're going through. You have to still pray as if God has already fixed this.
Yeah, because it's so amazing. Because with our men, I always say, our African American men, they are going through. They go
Yes.
through things that we don't go through.
Exactly.
In society from slavery, men were always snatched away from their families.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
a lot of times we expect for a man to know how to be a husband.
Right.
And they've never grown up with a husband in their community, or a father, and they've never grew up with a father in their own community. And we're going to take a quick break and
Okay,
we'll finish
okay.
this conversation right
Awesome.
after this quick
Great.
commercial.
Literally ran out of there to my car, could not dial the number fast enough, and call the person who had told me all along that I should do it. And I said, I'm going to be a realtor. And he got really excited about it. And he told me where to take the class, and I took the class. And so literally, the class is like 4 weeks. Literally, the fifth week, my cousin called me and she said, look, somebody just got carjacked, unfortunately, outside my house. I know that you just got.
So we're back. We were talking about just how the strength of women, how it is with women, and how we can help our spouse. I remember I was talking to God one day, and God says, guess what? You're in covenant with your husband. So when you pray, you're not praying as you're praying as both.
Exactly.
And so, and I don't know how we even started talking about this, but it's such a great segue to those women who are facing any challenge with their spouse. And I want to help to meet you exactly where you are. If you are facing any trial or tribulation in your marriage, know that God is in covenant with the both of you. When you said I do, he said I do. And he's fighting for you. And I'll never forget, someone told me, I was going through a trial with my husband, and she told me, well, you have to pray to your husband's subconscious, because the subconscious mind is what makes people operate in a level that they operate in. Again, the enemy uses your past through what? Deception. So he'll remind you of something that happened to you when you were younger, and he'll use it as a way to push you back into that place, into that darkness.
You're
So
exactly
it's so
right.
important, just how I did with my husband, as he was caught in that wave, and I held him and I pulled him out. He's so much bigger than me. I mean, he's way taller than me, but I was able to pull him out. The information that I knew, that if I pulled him back in, I can help both of us.
Exactly.
And so it's just so super powerful as wives to know the strength that you have. And even with my pastor, Dr. Mike Freeman, and his wife, and how when he was sick, and he couldn't talk. He was in a coma state. And one of the things that she said is, she says that when she prayed, she just she connected to his prior prayers. So when he was in a season of being aware, and he was in a season of praying, when he was where he needed to be, she made a connection. So it blessed me, because when my husband and I, we were like going through turbulence, I remember times when my husband would pray for me. I remember seasons when my husband would fast and things like that. So I had to say, I agreed with the prayers that he prayed early on. And so I was able to make that connection, because when you sow at any point, and that's the thing that I love so much, is that God says that you reap what you sow. He doesn't always say you reap in who you sow to.
That's right.
And so sometimes we get those epic fails because the person who we gave our all to didn't give it back. But be rest assured that everything that you've sown, when the person wasn't giving it back to you, God will just turn it all the way around, and it'll all come back to you. And so the same thing, when I talked about my week, how I had a staff and I had to let it go, and things wasn't going on. There was someone else. God raised up someone else to serve me. And I remember a lady, I was talking to her, and I said, I thank you so much for helping me. It's like I almost flashed back to myself when I was helping my pastors. When I was going to friends' houses and helping them break down parties and washing dishes for them, and you know, doing some people hair for free from the women's shelter. So like, we've already sown.
Exactly.
And so it's just a matter of time that every seed that we've sown will be made manifest.
That's right. I agree. I believe in that. I do. I believe in that. I believe in that. As I remember, you know, like I say, hearing God so well, you know, just stay still. Just stay still. Just because this went on doesn't mean you need to go and do this, but just stay still. And
I love
it's
that.
a hard thing to do, but
that a tweet right there. Stay still.
Just stay still. Yeah.
Stay still.
Yep. Just stay still.
So how can they reach you one more time?
Sure. You can reach me on all of my social media accounts. Everything is ustylemagazine.com. Well, Ustyle Magazine. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. YouTube, you can catch me at Ustyle Magazine on YouTube. My email address is ustylemagazinelive@gmail.com. And again, remember, I'm always looking for excellent stories and interviews for the magazine. So, yeah, you guys just get in contact with me. That's where I'm at.
Absolutely. So this was an awesome interview.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I
just-
love it. You almost had me in tears. You got me for a minute.
But I intentionally wanted to have you for the
Awesome.
entire hour.
I appreciate it.
And so
I really do.
I am so excited for you and what's to come for you.
Thank you. And trust me, I'm watching you. Believe me, don't get that wrong.
And so next week we have Prophetess Valerie Moore, who is a dynamic woman of God. She shares her amazing testimony. And we also have Minister Pam Price, who has an extraordinary testimony of just restoration and purpose. And so I'm really excited. Again, if you have a story, something amazing, an amazing testimony, you can reach me at coachkellyspeaks@gmail.com. If you want to, as you see, we have these amazing commercials. Shout out to Sin Baby and Yosef, who is outstanding. He's a part of our production team. If you are interested in doing your own commercial on our show, we have amazing rates. Of course, we reach such an amazing audience, and so we want to partner with you. If you're interested in doing a commercial with us, you can go straight to coachkellyspeaks@gmail.com. And we will see you guys next week on the Coach Kellie Speaks Talk Show. Bye, everyone.
Could not dial the number fast enough and call the person who had told me all along that I should do it. And I said, I'm going to be a realtor. And he got really excited about it. And he told me where to take the class, and I took the class. And so literally, the class is like 4 weeks. Literally, the fifth week, my cousin called me and she said, look, somebody just got carjacked, unfortunately, outside my house. I know that you just got.
Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Coach Kellie of the Coach Kellie Speaks Show. Last week, our special guest was Shantae Parker, real estate entrepreneur.
The people who are already doing what it is that you want to do. And so she sat down with me and she basically said that she was me a few years ago. And what she did in order to grow, you have to expand what you do. You basically have to grow a team. And she told me that I need help. There's no way you can be a lone person on the island.
Wow, wasn't that amazing? If you missed it, you can catch the replay on YouTube at Coach Kellie Speaks.
But a miracle from God happened. I was released early. So with that being said, people would just ask me, hey, Maya, I know someone who's in the hospital right now with cancer. Can you just go and talk to them? And it just became something that I did every day. And from there, we can survive. Started being it all basically started from just allowing people to see that the blood of Jesus still works. Mm-hmm. You know, God is still in the healing business, and that no matter how bad a situation.
Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Coach Kellie of the Coach Kellie Speaks Talk Show. Last week, our special guest was Maya Wright from We Can Survive.
Today, I'm dealing with death and disappointment of some sort. Nobody's excited when they find out they have been diagnosed with cancer or their cancer comes back. So I've had to learn how to turn my phone off. I no longer accept calls in the middle of the night. I used to have my phone on 24 hours a day, get out the bed.
Wow, wasn't that amazing? If you missed it, you can catch the replay on YouTube at Coach Kellie Speaks.
Could not dial the number fast enough and called the person who had told me all along that I should do it. And I said, I'm going to be a realtor. And he got really excited about it. And he told me where to take the class, and I took the class. And so literally, the class is like 4 weeks. Literally, the fifth week, my cousin called me and she said, look, somebody just got carjacked, unfortunately, outside my house. I know that you just got... ran out of there to my car, could not dial the number fast enough, and called the person who had told me all along that I should do it. And I said, I'm going to be a realtor. And he got really excited about it. And he told me where to take the class, and I took the class. And so literally, the class is like 4 weeks. Literally, the fifth week, my cousin called me and she said, look, somebody just got carjacked, unfortunately, outside my house. I know that you just got...
Hello everyone, it's your girl Coach Kellie of the Coach Kellie Speaks Show. Last week our special guest was Shantae Parker, real estate entrepreneur.
The people who are already doing what it is that you want to do. And so she sat down with me and she basically said that she was me a few years ago. And what she did, in order to grow, you have to expand what you do. You basically have to grow a team. And she told me that I need help. There's no way you can be a lone person on the island.
Wow, wasn't that amazing? If you missed it, you can catch the replay on YouTube at Coach Kellie Speaks.
But a miracle from God happened. I was released early. So with that being said, people would just ask me, hey, Maya, I know someone who's in the hospital right now with cancer. Can you just go and talk to them? And it just became something I did every day. And from there, we can survive. Started being it all basically started from just allowing people to see that the blood of Jesus still works. You know, God is still in the healing business, and that no matter how bad a situation